In this video, I'm going to go through the lab site for Essentials of Anatomy and Physiology to give you an idea what you have access to on Blackboard. We're going to start over here. Just know that when you're looking at this same page, you won't see this stuff down here. This is something that only faculty can see. So what you'll have access to is what's up here. The first thing that will always come up online here is the announcements. But we don't use the announcement page very much for lab because you pretty much have a set schedule, and that's not going to change unless you have a snow day. So if you're taking the class in the spring and there is a snow day and a day you're supposed to have lab, you're going to want to check the announcement page to see what you're supposed to do to make up that material. Under course information, you click here. What you have access to, this is the syllabus and schedule. Your syllabus will be current for the semester that you're in, but this will also contain the schedule. So it tells you, I'll show you this one real quick, but what it's going to show you is what the schedule is. Now again, this may be for a different semester than you're in. If you go down to the end of the syllabus, you will see a schedule. And again, that schedule is going to have to be maintained. This is one for the fall, but you're going to have to maintain that schedule, and this won't change, again, unless there's a snow day. But even if there is a snow day, somehow it's going to have to be made up because we have to get done at the end of the semester, and everyone has to have each lab. So that's where your syllabus is, and your instructor, whether it's me or somebody else, will go over that with you. Also, you have what's called the lab recording sheet. That's just a sheet that you can use to record your scores for some of the practice quizzes that I'm going to show you. So that's all under course information. Contacts. Currently, there are 3 different faculty that teach this lab, depending on what semester it is. So depending on who you have, here's the information that you need. Again, that's under contacts. Now under course documents, this is an important section. For each lab, you have a folder. For each lab, you have a folder. And when you click on that folder, you'll notice that you'll have folders within that folder. For each lab, we have an image folder, a podcast folder, and a practice video folder. In this case, we have a separate audio podcast, a video podcast that you can actually listen to that reviews directional terms. So if we click on images, what you'll find under here is images for the lab that you're doing that day. So if you go down here, scroll down here, you'll see a bunch of different images that you can use. Let me show you an example. When you click on it, what you'll get is you'll get a picture. This picture is from the exact model that you will be using in the lab. So what you can do is before you come to a lab, you can print these off. You can also use them in class. You can get them from the iPod that you're working on, or you can use them after class to review. One of the things you're going to find with the lab is that you're going to have fill-in-the-blank test questions. You're not going to have multiple choice. So you have to be able to identify this as being the heart without heart being a choice. So what I tell students to do is either to print this out and cut out the picture and see if you can identify the parts without the words in front of you. If you can't do that, then you're not ready for the test. But again, you'll see a bunch of images here for Lab 1. You're going to learn the cell parts. There's a picture of the cell. What you're concerned about is the parts that are listed in the lab manual. So on some of these images, you may see more parts than you have to learn. So make sure you're working off your lab manual, which is that packet that you bought. And those are the parts you need to focus on these images. Okay, so that again was where we went for that, was course documents. We went to Lab 1 and you clicked on images. Now if you click on podcasts, these are audio podcasts, they're MP3s. So what that means is that you can download them to your iPod or any MP3 player and listen to them. And what they do is they go through the parts with you. So they're going to say the part, and then you're going to be asked to repeat it. So those of you that drive a lot, going to and from school, download them to your MP3 player or put them on a CD. Listen to them in your car. When you can say a term, you're more likely to spell it correctly. And spelling is going to count in a fill-in-the-blank test. The other thing you can do is you can visualize. If you can name the part and then you can visualize where it is, it's going to help you on the test. The other thing you can do is you can take those images that I just showed you, print them out, listen to the podcast, see if you can identify the parts on those images. So people find these real helpful, again, especially if you spend a lot of time in a car. you can listen to them then. But learning how to pronounce the terms is just as important as identifying them. So again, we went to course documents to get there. We went to lab 1, and then we went to podcast. The last thing you have for each lab, and this may be the most important, is you have these practice videos. What these practice videos do is they mimic the test as closely as I can. So what you're going to see is a video will come up, and I'm going to open one here. This is a cell part review video. It will open in Windows Media Player. I'm downloading it now. And what these do, like I said, you take out a piece of paper. Okay, move this down so everyone can see it. What's going to happen is each picture will stay on the screen for 12 seconds. You're going to identify the part. The answers are located on the last slide. But what you're going to do, it's going to tell you how many questions there are. This one has 17 questions, so you number your piece of paper 1 through 17. What's going to happen is you're going to see a part come up that's identified with an arrow. And you need to be able to write down that part without looking at your notes. Now, the first time you go through this, you may have to use your notes, and that's okay. So now you're on number 2. What's the area between the arrows? So you go through all 17 questions. If you can't keep up with the video the first time through, then what you do is you slow it down, you stop it, and you identify the parts. And then when you get to the end, there's 16, there's 17. Then at the end of the video, what you're going to see is you're going to see the answers. You're going to see the answers. So this mimics a test, and then you grade yourself. How well did you do? If you practice these, if you can do these without your notes in front of you and get 100% without looking at the answers, then you're very close to being ready for the test, because that's what the test is going to be like. It's going to be an arrow on a part, and you're going to have to identify it without a list in front of you. So these are the practice videos, and you'll see there are 2 for the first test, one on cell parts and one on organ parts. So I recommend that you do these a lot. Students that do these do better on the test than those that don't. So again, course documents. We went to the lab that we wanted, and then you see practice videos. This is also a video podcast for directional terms that you can watch. Okay, same kind of thing. And again, you can practice your answers for it. Again, if you can do these without your notes, by the time you get to the test, you should be ready. Now remember, there's one of these for every test. You see all the way down to lab 10. Below course documents is quizzes. For each lab, you're going to have an online quiz that you can take as many times as you want to, or that you need to, in order to get a perfect score. So there's no excuse for not having a 5 out of 5 or a 10 out of 10 on an online quiz. If I click on that now, right now there's nothing in there, but you'll see quiz for lab 1. Those quizzes must be done by the time you take the test over that lab. So you'll have lab 1 and a quiz will show up, lab 2 and a quiz will show up. Those 2 quizzes must be completed by the time you take the test over labs 1 and 2. The other thing you will see under quizzes is you will see something that says practice test. When it says practice, that means you're not going to get a grade for it. It may show up in your grade book initially, but it will be removed and it will not count for or against you. Just like the videos, you take those practice tests and you do them as many times as you want. By the time you get to the test, if you do those without your notes, you're going to be ready for the test. So between those practice videos and these practice tests, if you work on those, the students that work on those do better on the exams and are more likely to pass the class. So those are going to be under quizzes. Web links we don't use very often. For tools, you're going to see a variety of things. The one thing you're concerned about is you're concerned about your grades. So you'll click over here on My Grades. For this, it won't show up as anything because I don't have any grades on it because I'm a faculty member. So when you take a test, your test scores will show up on Blackboard under My Grades. Your test scores, your quiz scores, so we can see whether you're taking those practice tests or not. So if you're not taking those practice tests and you're not doing very well on the tests, there's not much we can do to help you. So those are some of the ways that you can help yourself is by taking those practice quizzes, taking the quizzes and getting all the points for them. Don't stop taking a quiz when you have 3 out of 5. If you come up a few percentage points short, at the end of the semester from getting a C, you're gonna hate yourself for not taking those. So always take those and get the highest score you can. The score that we'll record, that we will see, will be the last time you took it. So you need to make sure the last time you take those quizzes that you get a perfect score. So you have announcement page, you have course information, which is the syllabus, you have contacts, which is the instructors teaching the course documents, where you're going to spend most of your time. Again, remember, you have one folder for each lab. Within those folders, I'll show you an example here. Again, you have images, you have audio podcasts, and you have videos in which you can practice what you've learned. Then web links, we don't use that much. Tools, you're looking for your grades. So those are just a few of the things that are on Blackboard. This is the lab site. So if you have questions, this is the video you want to watch. And if you still have questions, then come back and ask either myself or one of the other faculty members, and we'll be more than happy to help you get through the website.